We discuss all this though. We've been discussing.
Mr. President, while we have the Vice President here, are you both disappointed that the AfD didn't come first in the German elections, given your previous support for them?
No, I'm not disappointed about anything. If anything, you would say that the group that we would be most opposed to lost, but we got along with them also. We have a very good relationship with all groups in Germany. Whatever happens with Germany, look, the relationship has been very strong with Germany, but we'll have to see what happens. They have a lot of things going on right now. We'll have to see.
Did you know that while Keir Starmer publicly declares his commitment to free speech, his government has overseen the arrest of British citizens for posting memes? Trump and Vance just exposed this glaring contradiction on live television, sending Downing Street into crisis meetings. What's the real story behind Starmer's free speech promises, and why are his own party members now questioning his leadership? This video reveals the uncomfortable truth Starmer hoped would never come to light. When Trump and Starmer met, you assumed you were in for a diplomatic romance. Instead, we saw something much more illuminating.
Great. Yeah, look, I said what I said, which is that we do have, of course, a special relationship with our friends in the UK and also with some of our European allies, but we also know that there have been infringements on free speech.
Well, no, I mean, certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens, and we don't, and that's absolutely right. But in relation to free speech in the UK, I'm very proud of our history there.
That actually affect not just the British, of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and by extension American citizens. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch.
A face-to-face exchange that revealed the obvious hypocrisy at the core of Starmer's administration. Rather than showcasing a harmonious special relationship, the meeting revealed Starmer's most unsettling inconsistency. Starmer has always presented himself as a defender of the free speech tradition in Britain. With his chest buffed out, he proudly declares Britain's dedication to freedom of expression in front of audiences throughout the world. He skillfully creates the impression of a country that cherishes and defends the free exchange of ideas. Trump and Vance contend that although the story is captivating, it is based on sand. The situation on the streets of Britain is quite different. Even though Starmer talks about freedom of speech,
Attacked by Russia, will you come to their aid?
If the British people are in Ukraine and they get attacked,
If British soldiers in Ukraine.
you know, I've always found about the British, they don't need much help. They can take care of themselves very well. But if they need help, I'll always be with the British, okay? I'll always be with them. But they don't need help. You look at their career, you have done very well over the years, haven't you? You know what? No, it sounds like it's evasive, but it's not evasive. You know, the British have been incredible soldiers, incredible military, and they can take care of themselves.
his government has been busy detaining people for their online posts. We are discussing individuals who are subject to police investigations, home invasions, and court appearances, not for inciting or threatening behavior, but rather for disseminating memes and voicing views that would be fully protected in the United States. Trump was aware of this discrepancy between Starmer's eloquent words and the brutal treatment of common Britons. Trump didn't hold back during what was meant to be a friendly diplomatic encounter. He criticized Starmer directly, calling his assertions of free speech demonstrably false. Imagine that scenario. The British Prime Minister, expecting the customary diplomatic courtesy, is confronted with accusations of basic dishonesty about fundamental freedoms.
Well, so President Zelensky's coming to see me on Friday morning, and we're going to be signing really a very important agreement for both sides because it's really going to get us into that country.
And we want to work with you to make sure that peace deal is enduring, that it lasts, that it's a deal that goes down as a historic deal, that nobody breaches, and we'll work with you to make sure that that absolutely happens.
And having to do with rare earths and other things which we need for our country. And we appreciate it very much. And I look forward to seeing him. We'll be talking about it.
It was a diplomatic earthquake, not simply uncomfortable. J.D. Vance's answer, however, was the aftershock if Trump's remarks were the tremor. Vance offered what amounted to a warning rather than merely criticizing. he said the United States would defend vigorously American residents' rights against censorship attempts by the United Kingdom. Consider the implications of a prospective US vice president openly portraying the US as a bulwark against British government abuses. That type of speech is typically saved for enemies rather than allies. Therefore, it is not typical diplomatic language. Nor is this solely about safeguarding American interests. Vance's remarks underscore a mounting worry that American corporations are being pressured by the UK government to impose speech restrictions in the country. Tech businesses are concerned that they may have to decide between adhering to American free speech values and British law as a result of the UK's online safety bill. Vance clarified that America will not tolerate the UK government's attempts to export its speech restrictions to American platforms under a Trump presidency. This causes Starmer to experience a crisis on several levels. The diplomatic harm comes first. He went into the meeting with the intention of forming a cooperative relationship with a prospective new administration. Rather, he entered a dispute that called into question his fundamental integrity. The expected photo opportunity became a global shame. What Starmer should be more worried about is how this reveals the core inconsistency in his governance style. While your police are detaining people for posting on social media, you cannot claim to be an advocate for free speech at the same time. You cannot claim to be a liberal values advocate while enacting what Trump and Vance referred to as legislation against thought crimes. Not only does this discrepancy damage Starmer's reputation abroad, but it also calls into question his morals at home. For Starmer, the timing couldn't be worse. Prior to any changes in Washington, his government had hoped to fortify the unique connection. On a fundamental subject, they have instead found themselves in direct opposition to the potential future US administration. Trump wasn't merely making a political remark when he called Starmer's free speech position a front. Rather, he was drawing attention to a policy difference that might have an effect on everything from intelligence sharing to trade talks. The fact that this criticism aligns with growing domestic worries about his government's stance on expression is especially hurtful for Starmer. Free speech activists in Britain have been quite critical of the online safety bill. Trump and Vance did not start this dispute. Rather, they brought a discrepancy that many Britons have been pointing out since Starmer took office to the attention of the world. We are currently seeing the disintegration of Starmer's entire leadership persona, not merely a crisis of free speech. Senior MPs have publicly questioned whether he has what it takes to lead successfully in the face of worldwide criticism, indicating that internal dissension within the Labour Party has reached a boiling point. The harsh reality is that Starmer's well-crafted image fell apart in a spectacular way when he was challenged by Trump and Vance. According to polling data, the public's perception of him has drastically changed, and they now question his capacity to withstand pressure from other countries. Even worse, a lot of people are doubting his basic sincerity as a leader. This is a crisis of confidence that goes right to the heart of his premiership, not just one diplomatic gaffe. With American political heavyweights loudly voicing their worries, political observers now warn that Starmer's mishandling of free speech issues could irreversibly harm UK-US ties. The unpleasant question that British citizens must ask themselves as they watch this diplomatic disaster evolve is, what other lies are hidden beneath the surface of Starmer's government if he can't be honest with the public about something as basic as free expression?